Another thing that kind of comes to mind is this squeeze point that all the providers are having with all the things we mentioned. It seems sort of dystopian that, why would you even want to stay in that profession, right? Like there's so many things against you.
Yeah.
But I think if they were to really take a harder look at their business from sort of this perspective that we're giving,
Hmm.
and that you're giving with your tool and your company, um, I think that it would help them to rethink how they operate, like how they actually practice medicine, what their business model actually is. I know I've seen a lot of primary cares go to concierge services where they'll have a flat fee every month and they only take on a certain number of patients. That's one example, I think, of someone changing their model and getting back to actual patient care and
Hmm.
not just being kind of part of the system. But I'm sure there are other ways that could come from the data. If they were to sit with a consultant, probably, or someone that understands business and also understands their business, and were to say, okay, well, what are we doing the most of, and how do we streamline so that we can actually get back to making a profit and paying our physicians well, because them being paid because they're showing up and bearing the burden of all of this is going to lead to better patient care. Machinery taken care of, front desk taken care of, all the things that you just go down the list of all of the touch points.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's going to really, I think that's a great inception point for them to start thinking more like a business person rather than a dentist or a physician.
Yeah, and it makes you feel for them too, right? These are people,
Sure.
dentists or medical professionals that went to school for, 5,
Years.
10 years
Yeah.
post regular
And lots of
graduation.
medical debt. Yeah.
And not just in medical debt, but those last 5 years were all about just how do you become a good patient care provider? And there's
Hmm.
not a lot of information about how do you run a business.
Yes.
A business is already hard enough.
Yeah.
Taking care of patients is extremely hard. So
That's
you
right.
have these doctors who run their own companies, truly,
Hmm.
and they're not really trained on how to think about running a business. They're really
That's right.
trained on how to think about taking care of their patients the best way. And so you see a lot of these doctors in the past, especially in, dental can do a lot of improvements here too, is they were just making good money without even trying because people need care and care is expensive. And,
Mhm.
even whatever your overhead is, you're still probably making good bottom line. So there's no incentive to be super efficient. There's no incentive to be like figuring out the best EBITDA. Now, the people who care about money and patient care, like they're the ones that kind of started tweaking that first. But
Yeah.
I'd say the vast majority of these doctors are really just there about the patients. And you have to kind of beat into their head, like, hey, you're overspending here. Why don't you have a just in time inventory for these select items and have stocked inventory for these items?
Mhm.
You're not paying overnight shipping. And so
That's right.
a lot of these small tweaks that a general person who didn't just focus on patient care for 5, 10 years, but we focused on just living in the world and kind of seeing how businesses run and being in the business side of things. Like
Yeah.
that's obvious to us. It's not obvious to them. So I think there just needs to be just more of a collaboration on all fronts to be like, let's help you help us and just
Yes.
listen to us because we know more about this than you do, but we'll listen to you all day about patient care because that's what you know more than I do about.